Hey, today I thought I would go through all the stuff that I've been getting lately. It's pretty early in the morning, but I thought I'd do a quick unboxing. Been pretty active on eBay and at local comic shops. I've been visiting pretty much all of them, seeing what they have. It seems like they've gotten a lot of older bronze, silver stuff in, so I've been trying to grab some of that, and been to a couple cons, couple local little shows, so I just wanted to show what I got. So first thing I got is new, and if you haven't got it yet, it's Foom #1, and it's free. You can just get it at a local comic shop. They should have it laying around, and it's just a big advertisement. But I got to admit, as an older collector, just even seeing that lettering Foom quickened my pulse, because I remember the good old days of Foom. And then some of these new legacy books that they're doing, I love that cover. That looks really cool. Now I don't know how the inside's going to be, the story's going to be any good or not, but it's still exciting. Then they did some cool stuff in here too, like they show the original Foom, and they show every single one, posters and all of the ones. My favorite, of course, is the Jack Kirby comeback one right there, and that Stan in the turtleneck. And then, of course, then they get into Legacy, which, I read the first issue. I wasn't impressed. Just looks like a whole lot of nothing to me. There are a couple other cool articles in here, cover to cover. They show the old original and then how they've redone it. And it doesn't necessarily follow title lines either. So you can see that they jump around. Do some of the classic covers that everyone remembers. Another 2-page spread on that. So that's all great, and the rest was just talking about all these new things, and then they do an interview with Joe Quesada, and that's a bunch of blather as far as I'm concerned. Don't carry anything he has to say, but the one thing that I loved about this, and the reason I would get this if you're an older collector, is the stretch in the pen. It shows a bird's eye view of what the old Marvel bullpen might have looked like. I'm sure it's a drawing, obviously, but the coolest one, and I wish it was a little bigger, and I'll have to get out a magnifying glass like an old man reading my prescription, but it has little numbers next to each of these people, and then there's a legend on the bottom, and it tells you who each one of them are. Really neat. It just kind of gives you an idea of how it was, and then they have yearbook photos on the other side. So if you haven't got this yet, it's really cool. And then, of course, something else in the back made me sad. They just can't let poor Jean Grey alone, can they? But anyway. Oh, and then one last thing. I noticed this when I was in the shops. They're trying to resurrect the Marvel value stamps, and I get it, it's a legacy thing. But the way they're doing it is, I'm not going to collect them. I guess they're okay. Someone will collect them. That won't be me. But let's get into the stack. So there's no particular order. This is just how I kind of put them away. I haven't really done much with them. The first stack is a pretty good run of Fantastic Four. Let's go one by one. This is 175. I always thought this cover was really awesome. High Evolutionary is I think, a great character, kind of underutilized. But I remember when this one came out, I was really excited when we got that one and I got to read it. It's a great story. Ben Grimm fighting Narcon on the cover. Always loved when he was fighting like that. He always grabs different things, uses them as weapons. 154. None of these are anything special. It's just books that I'm replacing that I've had. Sorry about that glare. Wonder how many times we've all heard that on YouTube watching these videos. Sorry about the glare. That's a cool one. It's a really neat cover. I had this one from a garage sale I got back in the 70s, and it's tattered. It's got tape on it, so this one's a nice replacement. And that other one can stay in the landfill collection. I always love this one. There's an old wooden roller coaster in a park near me, and I always thought this cover, I remember when I saw it, I thought, geez, that could be my amusement park. When you're a kid, you think something like Galactus showing up and smashing your roller coaster would be cool. Not thinking about how bad that would actually be. And that's a great one. 121. Anytime Silver Surfer showed up in the Fantastic Four, it always kind of elevated it, I remember. It's great covers. Gabriel, it's a great character. And then this one's one I never had, always wanted it. I needed it, and I got it. It's Collector 119 Avengers. Pretty awesome cover. I don't really like how they're portraying him in the movie, but you know what, at least he's in there, right? And you can't do things exactly the same. Just Amazing Spider-Man 174. Another one that I remember being referenced, and I never had it, and it's just cool. I liked when they used to draw Punisher like that, where his hair kind of would stick up, and he was always scowling and didn't really talk much. He just kind of showed up, and you didn't know about who he was or really what he did. He's one of those characters that I wish they had left his backstory alone and not told you about it, because I think it added to him that you didn't know what his real motivations were, why he was like that. You know, I think, I forget what one of the black and white magazines, I think they went into it a little bit, but when I was a kid, I really liked when he would show up, because you just knew things were going to be, it was always going to be a really good fight. And I got 172, First Rocket Racer. And I know that's a really kind of cheesy character, but I always, you know, I'm nostalgic for it, I guess. Pretty cool. And I have several copies of this, but anytime I'm out and I see one that's really sharp, I grab it. The Eternals, #1. Love the picture of that big old Eternal head there. Or not Eternal, that's a Celestial, but. And the black, it's hard to get. This one's really nicely centered. A lot of times, still 25 cents gets clipped. So it's nice. Nice book. So anytime I see them nice, I grab them. This one's a reprint book, but I just love the cover of it, and I grabbed it. It's a 20-center, of course, so. If Dr. Von Chilla's watching, I know he loves these as much as me. Beware, #1. I always thought that werewolf, too, wasn't so scary looking. Look, this looks like a Pekingese, kind of. And then I got a whole run at a local comic shop guy that I'm bringing some of my copper and modern stuff boxes in and doing trades and cash. So it's worked out great because he gets in a lot of nice bronze stuff that I like to collect. So it's a nice run. Adventure into Fear. It's Morbius's kind of run. So I got 31. This one's cool. Got 30. These are all beautiful books. I mean, they're 8.5 or better. 29. It's fun for me to collect these too, because when I was a kid, sometimes I wouldn't get available to comics a lot. So sometimes a month would go by and I wouldn't be able to get anything. So some of these are kind of new to me. I saw this cover. This is super freaking creepy. 28. All these creepy ass things here. And you're running down the hall after them. I tell you, I was a little kid. I would have grabbed this for sure, because when you're a kid, you love getting scared, and that would have scared the hell out of me. So I would have grabbed that for sure. I'm missing 27, so I got to grab that. He did have 27 there, but it looked like the whole cover had been creased and mangled, so I didn't grab it. And I think I need 20 or 21. I need 21. I think. Well, we'll know in a second, I guess. Yeah, I got 21 right there. Here's 25. And I think I previously showed I grabbed 23, which is my favorite cover of the run. It's the most iconic for me, because it was in an ad in 74, I think, or 73, so I saw it all the time. And there's 21. It's pretty cool. I think some of these books I showed in ETA's Nick, his chat the other night. So this is one that fooled me when I first saw it. I thought it was a Bernie Wrightson cover, and it's really a Neil Adams, but it's beautiful. And it was the face that fooled me. I really thought, and just how it has like a kind of a almost painted or dotted look to it. Beautiful cover. It's number 10, Phantom Stranger. So if anyone wants to grab that, that's what it is. This is number 1. I think it's the second volume of Phantom Stranger. I don't know a lot about him. I just know somebody did a video on, and I saw some of his books, and I never knew much about the character, and I think I always got him confused with the Spirit when I was younger, so I never really got into collecting them, but it's a great cover. That's beautiful. Great colors. And then this is one I always wanted. I don't know much about the character. I never collected them. Is Strange Adventures number 208, Dead Man. I love the way that skin, the flesh just looks like it's decayed, kind of hanging around his mouth, and you look up at his eyes and his nose. It's just an awesome background. And interesting color choice, you know, that fuchsia and that sky blue or robin's egg blue is kind of cool. So it's a nice book. And then the one I think most people think of when they think of this run of Dead Man is this book here. And it's 207. It's one thing too that's annoying about DC. They do not make it easy to find out what their numbers are compared to Marvel. I mean, if you look at the Marvel box compared, I mean, it's pretty obvious what that is. And then you look at the DC and you kind of got to hunt for it. So I guess it doesn't detract from the art as much. But this one I like too, because look at all those faces that he had to draw. Neil Adams had to draw. And one thing that I noticed about Neil Adams and some of the other artists aren't like that is the faces don't all look the same. There's a lot of artists like John Byrne or people like that that immediately come to mind. Everybody looks exactly the same. I'm trying to think too who drew Preacher, that guy too. Is it? Almost everyone in there looks the same except they just have different hair to me. So, Miss Marvel number 11, kind of getting close to finishing that run. I still need number 1, and 17 I think it is, whichever one Mystique makes a cameo in is just crazy price. So I'll wait to see what happens with that. Next one's just a stack of monster books. Monsters on the Prowl. They're 20 centers and they were absolutely beautiful, so I grabbed all of them. And I'm pretty sure these are reprints of the 60s or earlier, but they all got new covers and they're great. This is one of those ones. This is Magnetor. Someone will say, "Oh, this is Magneto's prototype," and I will never collect prototypes. I can tell you that for sure. That's speculation to the limit, I think, just about. We got number 23. This is Grog. That's a cool looking cover. Maybe I'll go back and collect these original ones too. That'd be kind of neat. Kind of have them side by side. Oh, the Monsters on the Prowl. That's a cool one. And this one's 22. Really beautiful books. I love the 20-cent era. I love how the books are constructed. They still have that kind of Silver Age size, or a little bit bigger. Not a lot, but I mean like a 1/4 inch, but and they feel substantial in your hands. Great. This one's awesome. Number 21. This might be my favorite of the batch. Look at this guy. Okay, Monster's about to get him. Number 20. I love when the monsters talk too. Number 19. Creature from the Black Bog. Almost like the Creature from the Black Lagoon, but it doesn't look like him. It's a great one too. And then the last one I got from that LCS is one that I had a special request for that I picked up and I showed the other night on the chat. But Dr. Von Chilla loves this book. It's his favorite all-time comic for many, many reasons. You know, Gil Kane, everything about it. He loves the story. I love the story too because I didn't realize that this was the lead off to the Avengers Defenders War when they were trying to find the Evil Eye back in the 70s, and it crossed over, I don't know, 5 or 6 comics in both titles. But this one kind of kicked it all off. It's Store 207. And I feel fortunate enough to get one of these because As many of you know, John has probably nearly every copy of this ever printed or had. I think he's gifted a lot of them, but he wanted to see this up close, and it's beautifully glossy, razor sharp. I gave it a quick cleaning, and that was it. I think the only real flaw, maybe, if you look real close, you can see that it's got a little color tick up there, color break. It's weird as it's not a fold. I don't know what caused that or how that is. It might have even happened to printing, but it's beautiful. Backside's nice too. It's perfectly white. Has a little bit of that pink color, printing defect on it, but it's beautiful. Great book. I'm glad I grabbed it, and it smells awesome. No mildewy smell. It just has that pulpy, and the ink that they used back then, boy, I smell that, and your amygdala starts working overtime, and I'm transported back to 1974. That's just a great comic. So, one more pass for John. I think this one would have been worthy of him to pick up. It's a great book. And the last things that I grabbed, 3 different people I got them from, are the treasuries. I'm trying to work on the original 28 that came out. And as I'm going through, I'm realizing I picked up a few, and one of them's in here that doesn't have a number. And it's the holiday special from 1974. It's not numbered, so I think my 28 quest is going to be more like 38, because near as I can tell, there's about 10 of these that are during that same time period that are not on there. And again, I showed this on the chat the other night, and the thing that made me laugh is you look at the front, and they're all coming through a giant wreath, and then they're being silly on the back. They show them popping through the back. It's pretty cool. But if you don't have these are just awesome. It's the original comic only is gigantic. If you look at, it's hard to see. I think it's not as apparent, but if you see it next to a regular comic, I mean, it's quite a bit bigger. And it's just fun to read these. And I'm getting them in there, not flawless condition. They got a little bit of the pages. They're off-white, cream probably. But it's just so cool to read these. I mean, they're just enormous. They're fun to read. And then I got Fantastic Four 1976, number 11. I didn't have this one yet. This one's in real nice shape. There's 0 defects on it. The only thing is it was probably kept because it's not white. But I don't know that necessarily that these things ever were white. Imagine they weren't printed on real good paper, because it was only $1.50. I guess back in '76, so that was a lot. And then the last one I grabbed was Defenders, number 16. That's really cool. Really neat back too. Looks like Klaus Janson. Always drew really thick ink lines. But this is another great one. It has one of my favorite Defenders in it. I think it's number 12, where the Squadron Supreme shows up, and that's where they pick up Nighthawk. And that's what he used to look like. Just a really strange design. They have that beak on his face. When you see costume designs now, when you're not a kid, they're just so funny. And I think it's part of the reason why I kind of stopped reading, or why a lot of us stop reading when you get a little older. You start realizing things about comics that they're kind of silly, and maybe the stories aren't airtight and things like that. But you still love them anyway. I love going back and reading these. I'll sit down and put a record on and just read an entire treasury together, so it's fun. But those are the stuff I've been picking up. There's more stuff on its way, and I'll be going probably this weekend to a couple of the comic shops and picking some stuff up. And I guess that's it. That's all I got for today. Been loving all the videos I've been seeing lately. Everyone's doing some really cool stuff, showing what they've been picking up or what they have. And talking a little bit about why they collect or why they like it, and what they like about that particular book. So that's just always interesting to me. And then the other tag that Nick and I talked about Wednesday was, what was it? Anytime you've collected multiples of a comic, and it has to be more than 10. So I haven't seen any video of Surface yet, so I don't know if anyone's doing one, but I have a lot of those that I bought multiples of. People were talking on the chat, some guys I think had 50 or something, and there's one video that I've seen, a guy has Shazams, I think he has like 300 of them, number one. It's insane to me. So Not Brand Ick, that's what it was. Someone said they had 50 copies of Not Brand Ick number one, which is I just would love to hear how that happened or why they did that. Anyway, that's my haul, and until next time, keep reading.